Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Friday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, today I was going through the news stories. I was debating what to talk about. Trump talking about revenge and his whole crowd talking about, when we get back in power, we're gonna raid everybody's house. Seriously, that's what they're saying now. Uh, and I was thinking about talking about that, and I happened to turn the TV on, and the show Intervention was on. And this is one of my favorite shows. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I am a recovering addict. For those of you that are just tuning in, if you happen to see Intervention in the title and you're not familiar with my channel, let me fill you in. Uh, I'm very familiar with this. I was a full blown addict for most of my life. 10 bags a day heroin for 10 years. I was selling cocaine, and then using crack every day for 2 decades. Liquor, pills, you name it. Now, stop right there. There's a reason why I say this every time. Um, it's not bragging. I'm not bragging. Back when I went through over 13 detoxes and rehabs, over 13 times. About every 3 months, I'd be admitted back into a detox and a rehab. Seriously. And I'd see a guy just like me that looks just like I do right now. Because believe me, I did not look like this. If you go back about 2 weeks, and you'll see a picture of me. Um, and I'd see a guy like me come in, and right away I'd say, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He probably had a little problem with liquor, or yeah, that's how addicts are. And he's not like me. He doesn't know what it's like to be a hardcore heroin addict or anything like that. Yeah, I do. I used everything. I used it all, and I know what it's like. So that's the reason I say this, because every time somebody came in to talk to me that looked like me, I would poo poo the way he looked. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He hasn't gone through the stuff I've gone through. Yeah, I have. Okay, I just want to give you some thoughts. Before I get into that, this show Intervention is on these two brother sister channels, cable channels, Defy TV, and I think it's called Real Live, or Live Real TV. And I am dying to. It shows a lot of older reality TV programs like Ice Road Truckers, Storage Wars, and I am dying to talk about some of the characters on this show. But I thought, this is probably only on in my little area of the country. So I did a Google search of Defy TV and Real Life TV, and it turns out like 90 something percent of the country has these cable TV, access to these cable TV channels. So there's probably a lot more people out there watching what I'm watching. And let me know. Let me know if you have like a favorite older reality TV show, like Ice Road Truckers, Storage Wars, Axemen, Swamp People. There's a lot of characters on those shows that I'm dying to talk about. Okay, now Intervention. So I turned on TV this morning, and I just want to give you a little how I feel about the show, being a recovering addict. Um, when I turned it on this morning, there was an alcoholic father, and the daughter was asking him if he could just pay for a ticket to Disneyland because all of her friends were going, and he's like, sorry, I can't afford it. And the daughter says to him, but you can afford money for your bottles. And you can see how this, it hits the father right there, And he says this. He says, you can see he starts to tear up. And he says, it's a disease. Now, I got an opinion about this. There's a lot of times I come on here and I talk about the disease I have of addiction. And when I saw him say that, remember, I'm not a counselor. I've had no schooling in this. I've only had real life schooling on this. And when I saw him say that, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't get to use that as an excuse. You don't get to say, well, you don't get to use it's a disease, and you just use it to keep drinking, to keep your behavior the same. You do not get to do that. Whoa. It is a disease. So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up today. I want to tell you guys, too. One of the things I notice, like sometimes every time I watch this, I see myself in every one of these shows, whether it's an alcoholic or even anorexia. It's still the same behavior. It's the same trauma in early life. Like I said, I was molested when I was between the ages of 10 and 13. That's a common factor. I see myself in these people. Let me tell you this. One of the things I can never guess, though, is at the end, when the intervention happens, I almost get this wrong every time. Because I always guess, like, if this guy's going to go in, and if he's going to be successful, because they have the the screen goes black, and then they have the they talk about what happened to the person that was on there, and I get it wrong every time. It's amazing. I still, that's one of the things you can't figure: who's going to succeed and who's going to fail. Not too many people succeed. There's a lot of relapses. Let me talk about this really quick. Relapses are part of recovery. I talk about how I've been clean and sober for coming up on 16 years now. But a lot of times I fail to mention, and this isn't on purpose, but I failed to mention the times I relapsed. Not during that period. I got clean on October 23rd, 2006. And the hospital stay that the 13th or 14th one I believe it was at St. Francis Hospital in Hartford. I was in there for 30 days, and I hit bottom. I'll get into that in another video, but I just had enough. And during that time in there, the counselors, the people that ran the hospital, actually put me in charge of running the AA program at night, the NA program. I was the one that sat in front and ran the whole thing, and I hated it when they picked me to do it. I hated it, but looking back, that's one of the things that actually got me to look at myself, and it made me successful. Okay, so I got out of there, and I think it was around late February of 2006. This is what I don't talk about. In every addict's mind, I'm going to be clean and sober, but this is what I would do. I would save up money, and this is that little addict voice that was in the back of my head. And about every 2 or 3 months between the end of February 2006 and October 23rd, 2006, probably about 3 or maybe 4 times, every couple months, I would sneak away. It would just hit me. The triggers would hit. With me, it was porn. And I'd call up the dealer, and I'd go out and smoke crack. And I would have saved up maybe $200 or $400. I'd blow the whole thing. I'd be all by myself, and it would be miserable every time. It'd be a one-day thing every time. And I was in methadone treatment at the time, and I was getting urine tests, and I would get snagged every single time. And I'd have to talk about it. If I'd gotten any privileges, they'd be revoked. And it happened every single time. When October 23rd came around, that day was so freaking bad. It was I think it was October 22nd I used. And it was just so bad. I locked my keys in the car. I had cops search my vehicle. I had the urine test the next morning. It just, anything and everything that could go wrong. My car just refused to start after I picked up my drugs. I told myself, if this isn't God telling me that, why am I doing this to myself? I had a miserable, I found myself sitting in an empty parking lot, cold parking lot on that night, all by myself, waiting 2 hours to give a dealer who I didn't even know my last $20 in change. I was sitting in an empty, cold parking lot for 2 hours to give the last pennies that I had for a little $20 rock that would be gone in 3 minutes. And I sat there for hours in a dark parking lot all by myself. And that's when it finally hit me. Why am I doing this to myself? This has to stop. So I did, I did relapse. Let me tell you this too. This isn't a hard and fast rule. You guys see that I remember my recovery date, October 23rd. This is something I found. If you ask people, if people say they're in recovery, they haven't used, if they say, I've been good, I've been doing good, I haven't used in a while, but they can't name the recovery date. Look, I don't want you to accuse anybody without cause, but in my experience, those people aren't clean. If you have been an addict, an alcoholic, if you used every day, you will remember that day for the rest of your life. It's like a second birthday. You don't forget your own birthday. I will never forget October 23rd of 2006. So, I found this out too, that I had to watch who I was going to be around, because I found that, I told everybody after a month or two, look, I'm clean and sober. I don't want to hang out. And everybody would say, me too, and then I found out that wasn't true. They'd all say that. And I started to discover some of the tells, and that's one of them. Now, like I said, I don't want you guys to accuse anybody, but last thing I want to talk about too, I miss Audrey. I lost Audrey, my ex-girlfriend, from COVID on August 5th of 2021. And she was recovering alcoholic addict too, mostly alcoholic. And she had a few years less than me. She had about 10 years clean and sober. And we loved watching this show together, and each of us, we'd watch it every day. And we'd almost tear up, watching that music comes on at the end, and then when you see, it's amazing. These people, I always talk, I got my soul back. And I'm not saying that metaphorically. I got my soul back. If you look at the person I was, look at these people in recovery just after 2 or 3 months, and they look different. It's not just physical. You lose your soul when you use these drugs. You sell your soul. I don't know how, where it goes or who takes it. I don't know, but I can promise you. And we would watch this show and we would tear up every time. We'd cheer, and there was a success story, and I still miss that about, I miss her every single day. I'll be doing more videos talking about Audrey, because it's been over a year now, and it's still, I talk to her every day. I still miss her so much. But anyway, that's some of my thoughts on intervention. Let me know if you guys have those cable channels and you like those older reality TV shows like Axemen, Storage Wars, the transportation one where they bid on hauling big things in trucks. There's a guy on there I'm dying to talk about, and Storage Wars too, that the guys that are jerks on these shows, I'm dying to share my thoughts with you guys on these. So let me know if you watch those shows too. All right, I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Friday.